Sonny's always got the head bob going.
Recognize the song this time.
Hey, welcome to the Floor U podcast. A bit of a layoff here between episodes, but happy to be back. Joined as always by Sonny Callahan.
Yeah.
The one, the only, the notorious. How you doing, Sonny?
I'm doing well. I enjoyed some time off, so I apologize for not being available. But yeah, with the holidays, it's always hard.
Well, we had a little bit of a layoff here, and 2 weeks in Florida at IICRC. We're gonna have to cover that a little bit. That was excellent. That was quite an experience. We'll definitely cover that.
We'll definitely talk about that.
I don't have my Packers mug here. I can't believe I didn't get that out. I mean, yeah, Chick-fil-A. That's your only team left in the game?
That's the only one to root for. Oh, God's chicken.
So this week we are joined by Heidi Cronin, CTF Ceramic Tile Education Foundation. She is the Industry Liaison and Promotions Director. Heidi, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And an all-around great person.
Did y'all have good holidays and New Year?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah.
It's been a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everyone, I guess, because we didn't.
Yeah, we're a little late on all that. I think Happy Thanksgiving too. Has it been that long?
It could be. It could be. It's been about 3 weeks. I think we took about 3 weeks off there. Yeah. We brought it up though. We're going to talk a little bit. Even having Heidi on, a big theme of the show always is education with the National Academy of Floor Covering Training and everything we do in that area. I got to spend a week in Florida, and Sonny was there for 2 weeks with IICRC, and that was one hell of an experience.
I tell you what, I didn't know what to expect, Heidi. IICRC is for it's troubled kids. It's literally their last stop before prison, not jail, prison.
Wow.
They have a minimum of 12 felonies, and these are kids. So our group was 15 to 19-year-olds, and we started with 10, and we ended up with 9, or started with 11, ended up with 9. But the way these boys took to learning and some positive attention just makes me want to go back next week and do it again, because that's all they're aching for. They just want someone to tell them how to do it right, and they'll do it. And I'm not talking Florida. I'm talking life. I'm talking going to the store, being a person, being an adult. They just want the guidance. And we had a couple of kids that we thought they were giving us a hard time. We thought they were troubled. And then at the end, when they got their certificates and they were talking to us, they come in and give me a big hug. And I almost came to tears. I mean, it was just amazing the progression these kids made in 2 weeks. So
that is awesome.
Yeah, and to really have them have an idea that, a rough start doesn't have to mean a rough life, that there's opportunity out there, that they've got a chance to, and it doesn't have to be in flooring. We were pretty clear on that. We're showing them flooring, but, in the trade, some of them, I think, were really interested in the flooring aspect of it, and they got an idea of what it is and what it involves. But, to know that they still have opportunity, that
we spent an afternoon just how to read a tape measure, and the pride that they felt once they learned how to do it, and we were showing them, half, quarter, 8, 16, 30 seconds, and then by the end of the day, they could go through it and show them, and they were having a great time. So
good. Can you teach me?
Dude, it was a blast. It really was, though. It was. That
was time well spent.
Yeah, it was. It was certainly time well spent. And by the end of the program, they had installed 2 classrooms of carpet tile. They had spread the glue, laid the tile. They laid vinyl plank. They glued down vinyl plank. They did floating vinyl plank.
They ground some concrete.
They ground concrete. We talked about moisture. They learned moisture comes from the sky, goes to the ground. and all it wants to do is go back up to the sky. I was amazed at how interested they were about the moisture, Paul. That kind of blew me away. I thought we would be 2 or 3 levels over their head, and they just grasped onto it. They wanted to learn more about it, and when they knew it, I could hear them telling the other kids who weren't in the program about it. So it's like they knew something and they were proud of knowing it. So it was good.
They're smart kids. You know, a lot of these kids that get into those situations isn't because they're not intelligent. It's oftentimes because they're very intelligent and completely bored. You know, there's no doubt they have the capacity. They prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. We're trying to go back in March, which may be difficult, but maybe that's somewhere where we can get with the CTEF or TCNA, because they did want to talk about ceramic. I'm not the person to talk about ceramic. I don't know much about it, but you know, if we could teach them anything that they can take outside of life with them to keep them out of trouble, that's the way we look at it. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Discuss more about that and try to get involved.
Yeah, they're good people, and the AMI kids. I think there's either 37 or 47 locations across the United States. So you know, there's places all over. We can find manufacturers who are close, and they can help donate materials and things like that. But there's just a lot of kids that go through there that could use some help, and I know if you do it, you'll feel better about yourself, because I was just amazed at how good I felt when it was done. And I know that sounds selfish, but it was just great. It was moving. So
yeah, especially considering we walked in the door with kind of a game plan, and we brought up the computer, we brought up the projector, we started a PowerPoint, and within about 3 slides, we just shut it off.
So they were done. They were done.
Yeah.
Heads were down. They were like this. We're like,
tool in your hand and then just start explaining. They like to have the.
That's what we did. We just here's a hammer. Here's a trowel. Go do something, because it wasn't going to be PowerPoints. It wasn't going to be presentation, because they were just we were gonna lose them. So Paul and I left, went to lunch, redid the entire afternoon to make it hands on, and then that night we did the rest of the 2 weeks. So it was it was interesting, but it was
but
good.
you do learn. That's something that Sonny and I have had the benefit of, is spending some time doing some training, organizing some events, and doing things by the seat of our pants sometimes, and it works out. It really does. That class has become the blueprint for what we will do with them, and it's going to impact every class we do moving forward.
Oh, absolutely.
Because part of the education of it is to build some enthusiasm, right? It's part of no matter what part you're training in, part of what you want to do is help build that enthusiasm for the industry and for the knowledge and for the jobs that they do. And there should be pride in workmanship, and there should be pride in what you do and excitement to do it right. And you're always working on not just delivering information, but delivering it in a way that gets people excited about it, gets people enthused about sharing that with others, and going out and pursuing that on the job and so forth.
Well, and that kind of sounds like what you do now, Heidi. Is that similar to what you're doing? Tell us about CTF.
So CTF, I like to build people up. I like to look for people's passion. I like to see what motivates them. And, you know, a lot of times people just need a little push to say, you can do this. You're perfectly capable. It's not the matter of being capable. There's a lot of negativity, I guess, around the certification itself. And they feel because of the materials used that it's not, you know, everybody has their opinion, but you don't know. As what the slogan we've been kind of using is, you don't know until you know what it is. And so you gotta, at some point in life, just take a leap and try things. And as uncomfortable as it is and as scary as it is, to take that leap is so empowering and builds you up and builds your confidence and empowers you to be a better you. And, you know, so like my story of, you mentioned before, of, you know, how I came up in the trade, I was born into it. My family had a distributorship. I joke that I started my career when I crashed my parents' car at 15 and had to pay it off by building ceramic tile sample boards. Um, um,
Jumping into the industry.
you mentioned these are kids in the criminal justice system. My degree is in criminology. I wanted to go into probation and parole. I enjoy and am fascinated by what makes people tick, what makes them do what they do, what motivates people. So it's always kind of been a fascination going through college. Plus, criminology classes were hysterically funny. The professors were great. And it kept me interested because I wasn't really, do you go into business? Do you do this? I didn't know what I wanted to be.
I have a degree in criminology too, Heidi. That's something else we have in common.
I wanted to go into probation and parole, but you had to test. I am a terrible multiple choice.
Hey, we all three of us. I went into criminal stuff, so
You are a criminal. That's different. There's different.
Horrible multiple choice test taker. So I didn't get anywhere getting hired because you have to get past all these stupid tests to get hired on. And I worked summers in the family business. I worked everywhere from accounting to the warehouse to customer service. And so when I graduated and got done, my dad wanted to open a branch in Medford, Oregon. So he says, I'll pay you this much money and you'll open it, and you have to give me a 5-year commitment. And I went to college in Ashland, Oregon, which was just outside Medford. So I was like, great opportunity. Sure. Why not? So I went into it and never looked back after that. I remember walking into the customer base. I mean, I had a month training on the Portland order desk and then kind of thrown to the wolves and like, here you go. And I was like, okay, wow. And I had 2 employees and I learned how to drive the forklift. I drove the truck. I've cut laminate on panel saws. We had a ceramic tile showroom, sold sundries. So we did all of that out of our little tiny area. But I remember customers and selling wise, I had never really had the face-to-face customer selling experience. And one of the first customers came up to me and says, you can't handle my account because you're a woman. I'm like, oh, a challenge. I like it. And by the time I left,
maybe he just thought he would always get better service because you were always trying to reach that bar. Maybe that was just a psychological ploy there.
What an idiot.
So after 5 years, my husband at the time job back up in Portland, and I'm like, okay, well, we're moving. My dad's like, well, I'm not just giving you a job, but we do have an opening in purchasing, so you can be a purchaser. So okay, great. So I moved to Portland and became a purchaser and purchased our major lines, Metro Floor, Wilson Art Laminate, Wilson Art Flooring at the time. I mean, just Burke Mercer. I mean, there was all sorts of lines that we carried that I started purchasing. And then, about 3 or 4 years later, they walked in my office and they're like, okay, now you're vice president of operations. Okay, what is, and so then I was in charge of the warehouse and in charge of hiring and firing people. And, interesting. I'll never forget my dad's words to me, and he had great wisdom. I remember complaining once because I screwed up an order and I was crying once when I was being trained for Medford for messing up somebody's order. And my dad's like, crying's not going to get anywhere. Just fix it and take care of it. You're not going to earn people's respect by crying. And I'm like, okay. And it was, his words were kind of harsh and you're kind of like, wow, okay, well, I don't like your answer, but you're going to move on. And you just keep going at it and working with people, with a wide variety of personalities is really hard to corral in and kind of, but I paid attention to everyone within the company and just kind of watched. I was a really good observer for years and I just observed everything. And after also the company also had everybody and their dog was all retiring at the same time, all upper management within 3 to 5 years of each other. And so they kept asking me, well, what are you going to take over? Are you going to take over? Are you going to take over? I'm like, oh, I guess.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we, and then in 2013, they made me president of the company. And unfortunately, the company didn't make it. And it opened a door. It was really hard because a lot of people were thinking that the company defined me, but I realized that I defined me. And I went out to get support within the industry when I became president of the company to learn from everybody else in the industry. So that's when I got involved with NAFCD, with the Flooring Association Northwest, with Powerhold. I got on all those boards and I learned. I was president of the Flooring Association Northwest for 2 years, 2015, 2016. That was a local WFCA affiliate at the time. And it was really hard to be that because that one was really more of a retail based association, and to be a distributor running it and not pushing your products and staying neutral and not looking like I'm trying to get something out of it was really a goal I had throughout that time frame.
Sure.
And
I can relate to that, certainly.
yeah, and then NAFCD, after being on that board for a year, my dad didn't want me on any of these boards. He was dead set against it. Said that I should be there running the company instead of being on these boards. But these boards were my education. And I actually got on 3 of them in a 3-month period and just about made it. That's your rebellious daughter coming out. All within.
You don't want me on any, I'll be on 3. Thanks for that.
Yeah. I got on to the Flooring Association Northwest first. And then I was trying to get nominated because I had been recruited at NAFCD by George Roth at the time. And he was trying to get me on the board. So I was trying to get somebody in my company to nominate me, and nobody would nominate me. So when I became president of the company, I didn't see anything in the rules said you couldn't nominate yourself. So I actually nominated myself for NAFCD's board. And I didn't know about it when I said yes to the Flooring Association Northwest. About a week later, they're like, okay, you're on the NAFCD board. I'm like, great. And then it surfaces that following January, I got on I was at a cocktail party at Powerhold, and I made mention to one of the board members, hey, I'd be interested if an opening ever comes open of doing this. But we had been a Powerhold member for like 7 years, and the board never changed. And I'm like, yeah, this is so far off. But about 2 or 3 weeks later, JJ Haynes buys CMH space and they have a board opening. I'm like, ooh, gee. So I'm on that. But
yeah, careful what you volunteer for, because they'll find you a spot.
Oh, I know. But you know what? It was such an education. And funny enough, that April, the Flooring Association Northwest had a board retreat. And they brought in a speaker, and it was kind of like, what's your purpose for serving? What are people's motivations for serving on a board? And it was really interesting to learn what my motivation. I just wanted to make a difference in the industry. It wasn't personal gain for my company or personal gain or recognition for me. I can really care less about how I look, but it was about, let's make a difference and do something to help the industry, because I grew up in it and I loved it, and I love the people in it. It doesn't matter whether you're on the ceramic side or you're on the LVT side or the hardwood side, or whether you're on the sundry side. Everybody, it's a different little mix, and they all kind of work differently in how you buy things and do things, but it's all this community, and people are really passionate. And so you kind of try to buy into it. And after a year on it,
I have bought into it.
They asked me to be on the executive committee, and I said yeah. And so I was the president in 2017 of NAFCD. And that's probably as I feel, my greatest accomplishment was diversifying that board and getting people to buy into the passion of making a difference in the industry. And it has a fabulous board right now that works well together, and they're all engaged, and they're all helping out, and they're all trying to do their part to make the industry better on that board. So it
sure makes it a lot easier. I've served on functional and dysfunctional boards, and it sure makes that volunteer time feel worthwhile when something's really functioning properly.
When I got on NAFCD's board, it was all hardwood manufacturers and very, very, very large distributors. And a few changes kind of happened. And when they asked me to be on the executive board, you get in charge of trying to recruit the people after you. And so I started looking, and then Fianna fell apart. And I said to myself, that's who you go after for membership. So I started going after the Fianna members. And
okay, we're going to make you. Some of these things we occasionally have to clarify. We've been told before that we use way too many acronyms.
Yeah.
So
the ABCs.
NAFCD is the Distributors Association.
Yeah, North American Association of Floor Covering Distributors.
And
Fianna, Sonny would know that one better. Flooring.
Yeah, thanks, Heidi. Yeah. Installer Association of North America, right?
Yeah.
Flooring Installers Association of North America. It was Power Hold Group. That's what I always. It was mostly the Power Hold people.
Yeah, pretty much. But then I went after recruiting, and Fianna was started because some people were angry with NAFCD at the time. I mean, NAFCD has evolved. Like I said, anything, you can't judge things based on the past. You have to look at what's the future holds and have a little bit of ability to see the future and have faith that the future will be good if you support something. I mean, a lot of people have a real bad tendency of dwelling on the past, but
in our industry, yes.
Honestly, holding that doesn't help you grow. It just stalls you from not moving forward. Mm-hmm. And so I really like the board. It has I got a millennial on the board of NAFCD, which was great. AJ Warren, great guy. Everybody on the board is fantastic. There's women, there's every type of manufacturer, within the gamut of floor covering. We try to mix it up. And it's just really functional. And I was president, we exchanged with National Builder Materials Associate, NBMDA. That's a really hard one. We do our convention together, NAFCD and them do their convention together. And we switched going to each other's board meetings. The president of NBMDA came to ours, and I went to theirs. And I think I spoke more in NBMDA's than most of the board members, just because, Wilsonart Laminate, which we were a distributor of, so I knew a lot about that association as well. We just weren't members at the time. And then Ray came to ours, and he was like, wow, that was the most engaged board and most productive meeting I've ever been to. So that just made me happy to know that it was well and functioning. So my dad took me to my first NAFCD when I got right out of college. And so I'll never forget. I remember it was early 90s, and they were talking, The Economist was talking about other distributors buying up other distributors. And my dad looked at me and says, look, I guarantee you this is going to happen in the next 5 years. And it did. So it was kind of like, wow, okay. So he started paying attention. And once they really started later on in my career, letting me go to the NAFCD conference, I don't think I missed a year once they started letting me go. It was great education and great people. And I picked people's brains. That's, you go to these trade shows, networking.
So if we come forward to today, what are you doing right now with CTEF? What are some of the initiatives you've got going? What are obviously, and let's just start with what kind of education's offered. Where does it start?
Okay, so we offer a certification based on the methods and numbers of, or methods and best practices of the industry from the TCNA handbook, ANSI, A108 and 118, A118, and manufacturer instructions. So these are the standards that are out there on installing ceramic tile, and we have the CTI test, which is the test upon the basic standards, vapor barrier, putting in backer board, layout, coverage, stuff like that needs to be done correctly, water, understanding waterproofing. Then we also have our advanced certifications, which are in certain areas like shower receptors and large format tile and slabs, that we're working on getting that program up and running. Most likely not till the end of this year and into next year is when it will really, the ACT side of it will start getting ramped up. But our certifications, what we're trying to do with them is, everybody's, if you're in any sort of social media, you just hear of hacks. Everybody's complaining of hacks and people lowballing and doing stuff. And so you got to raise the bar and change the mindset of the industry and look at labor as not as labor, but look at it as a craft, and look at it as, these are the people who are bringing your dream as a consumer to life in your house, and your house costs you a lot of money and you want to do it right. Why are you looking at the labor side of it and going for the cheapest possible for it not to last and to cost you down? Because the industry knows, and everybody being in it, whether you're a manufacturer, distributor, or retailer, failures cost you a ton of money, a ton of money. And it's a good majority of a lot of the failures out in the field are either not an understanding of the products. People don't like reading directions. I don't know how many times you have to send out with hardwood, you got to let it acclimate. It moves,
Yeah. Well, it's at warehouse for a couple
just
of
for 24 hours, right? Acclimates within 20. Never mind.
There's so many different things you have to pay attention to, which people don't realize. They just think that it's cheap labor. I just need it put in, but there's a science behind it. There's chemicals involved. There's chemical reactions involved. There's temperatures you got to be considerate of, the moisture level. There's so much thing, and it doesn't matter whether it's ceramic tile, whether it's LVT, whether it's a countertop, whatever. There's going to be factors that are going to cause these failures that people need to be educated on. And regardless, I could go out and set tile. I've done it. I've done a really crappy job and made a huge mess doing it. And would I be happy with somebody coming in and doing that? No, I would much prefer to pay somebody to do it right, who cares, who's passionate about what they do, and not.
Yeah, I had the honor of being asked to be one of the judges for the Shernock's Worst Subfloor contest, and to see some of these subfloors and see some of these substrates and what is being dealt with and how to understand what challenges you have, what point you have to get it to even start correcting it, right? And then how to get 6 different subfloors just to blend together to have a good surface to install the flooring on. I mean, there's no question in my mind that this is a skilled trade. This is a skilled trade. It should be a skilled trade that's on the level of plumbers, electricians, any other trade that has minimum requirements to be able to get into that industry. That's where flooring installation should be.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with ceramic, they're artisans. I mean, we talked about it before we got on the air. I mean, just some of the things that they do and they can create. There's some great Facebook pages out there. It just makes I feel terrible looking at it because I can't do what they're doing. But we've had them on. We've had some of the guys on the show. They're artisans. They're craftsmen. They're not just installers. I mean,
it's amazing when you capture or meet somebody with passion for what they do, and it's contagious, and people will latch on to that passion if they believe in it. And so that's what is really enjoyable to me, is to be sitting in a meeting or networking at an event and meeting somebody, and all of a sudden you just get that, oh my God, they got passion. I got to figure out how to help this person out. And
right.
Perfectly. No. I went to a NTCA workshop here in Portland and met this young guy who called me up and stated, "Can we go to lunch? I'd love to pick your brain." I'm like, "Sure," because I kind of did a pitch for CTF at the workshop. So I go to lunch with this kid. He had a great story, got hurt, can't even bend his knees, but he's laying tile. He's figured out how to do it and wants to be the best he can be, even though he has a marketing degree. He has a wealth of knowledge and ability to go work, and earn like hundreds of thousands of dollars with his skill set. But he's so enamored and so loves the tile trade that, and he was working for a company here in Portland, and he just didn't feel challenged enough. And so I'm sitting, Shannon from Schluter came to town, sitting at dinner with her, and Jason McDaniel came up, and I made the introduction to Jason for him because Jason was saying he was losing a guy who was moving back to Indianapolis. So I'm like, great, here you go. And, if I can help people out and help them move along and make an introduction that helps them out later in life, then that's what I do. I mean, that's what makes me happy. If I can help somebody else, it's fantastic. That's why when the family company closed, I thought to myself, I don't want a job just to have a job. I want to do something that I have passion for, and that will fill, as my oldest daughter or youngest daughter states, fills my bucket. I need to find something that fills my bucket. So when I found out the CTF had an opening, that's why I jumped on it. I said, this is something that I could stand behind and be happy doing, and would love to do it.
We can honestly say there are people that get into education for the money, but nobody stays in it for the money.
Yeah. No, it's a passion, but it's not a passion for money.
No.
Well, you look at things the other way too. Money is not going to make you happy, regardless of how much you make. It's not going to make you happy if it's not something you're passionate about. It does make being miserable a lot more bearable. Oh yeah. I mean, it's nice. It's nice, but for me, it's never been a motivator.
No, it can't be.
What I do, or trying to, again, for me, it's just I want to do good, and if I can help people get there, then let's do it. Let's make a difference, and let's change the mindset and get people to realize that qualified labor is good, and let's get certifications out there that helps qualify. Now, I know the other problem with qualified labor per se is there's a lot of technologies out there.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking at standards themselves, not all LVT gets installed the same. Not all ceramic tile gets installed the same because of, not all setting products are going to react the same. So there's a lot of learning to be had, and a lot of people, that the generation and how people have been raised now is you got to look it up on the internet. And unfortunately, the homeowner who's doing remodel is looking up the information and walking into a retail store. And 90% of the time, they have more information on the products and know more about the products, except the expectation of what the product does, than the person on the sales floor in a retail store.
Selling it. Exactly.
And really, a lot of failures start with being sold a false expectation.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we talk a lot about how the tech department doesn't really talk to the marketing department.
Yeah.
They don't communicate those expectations very, very well. When you walk in and you buy a floor and you see the retailer pull out their keys and say, see, it never scratches. Never scratches. Then the floor gets put in and they get a scratch and they're like, well, this must be defective. This is a bad floor. Well, there's no warranty against scratching.
Yeah, I mean, it was fascinating at Total Solutions Plus this year. TCNA conducted a test with waterproof, flooring, not ceramic tile, but the stuff claiming to be waterproof flooring, and the leak rates, and what it really truly is and what's being sold is not the same. And again, it's just a race to the bottom. Everybody trying to have the cheapest and the newest thing out there. And like I said, I don't have a problem against any other products. I sold it. I understand them all. I know there's new technologies that come out, and but it's a interesting.
Well, there's floating ceramic and floating marble that's coming out now. So
that should. An Edge failed miserably about 10 years ago.
There was just a press release. Just a press release. I forget who the company was, but it was floating stone, floating. It was
called Edge. We carried it, and trust me. So good luck.
I do flooring inspections. I'm okay with these products coming out.
Yeah, good luck with that one. I want to see how that one works out.
Well, it's funny you mentioned waterproof flooring. We're actually at ASTM F06. We're working on a definition for waterproof and water resistant, because in flooring, people are using those words interchangeably, and they're actually don't meet either one of those definitions. So we're trying to make a definition for both of those words right now when it comes to flooring.
So, like I said, the industry in the world is changing so much, and there's so much technology, and there's so much for everybody to learn. The best that we could do, or at least we could help certify. The goal is to get to states to require it for licensing. So you're held responsible. We're looking to, a lot of people don't realize that the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation is 3 of them. It started years ago, and before I came on, it was Scott Crothers and Kathy McAllister. There's 2 people. And I came on, now I'm the 3rd, and 3 people with a really big with a really big goal of getting there. And so as much help as we can get, support from manufacturers. We're a nonprofit. Support from manufacturers, support from distributors, support from retailers, the installers too, that are getting these certifications. There's nothing more that brings more joy to my heart is when somebody passes the test and throws their number out there.
Yeah.
These guys take great pride in their CTI number. It's a fantastic thing to see. And, a lot of people are saying, well, what do I get out of it? What does it do for me? It's really how you perceive yourself is the best way for me to describe it. I'm not going to sit there and shame people and say, oh, you're just scared or whatever. I mean, people have difficulty with change or doing something different because it's a fear of the unknown, and that's not bad, and that's not saying you're fearful, but sometimes it keeps you from stepping forward and stepping outside your box and being a little uncomfortable for once, and putting yourself out there. And it's okay, we don't shame you if you fail it, if you don't pass it the first time. We're going to sit there and say, you know what, get up. This is what it is. And we give out a report card afterwards, basically stating this is the areas that, can use improvement to help educate you and get you to where you need to go. And to get you there. And we've had a lot of people this year who haven't, that have gone back and done it, and, have tried 2 to 3 times. And, for them, I have a ton of respect. Good for you. Don't let
do everything you can to help them.
Stop you from achieving a goal that you want to do. You have to always have a goal, and to reach those goals, you're going to have to step out of your box.
So you talked
like what you said earlier. Anybody with a passion, you just want to help, because the 3 of us have a passion for flooring. There's no doubt about it. So when we find other people who have that passion, we want to help them. We want to do what we can. So I think it's great what you're doing, and we're hoping that NAFCT can turn into something like that. We're doing our first certifying class next month, actually in Pennsylvania. We're going to have our first heat weld class. You'll be a certified heat welder, flash cove and heat welder. And that's the first step, we think, to get the manufacturers involved to back the system, because if we have more installers who are certified and know what they're doing, the jobs for the manufacturers are going to go better. They're going to last longer, and ultimately it's going to save them money. So it's the first part of the circle. It's the hardest one to get started, but I have a lot of respect for what you do, because we're going down that same road right now.
And it's difficult. It's hard to take the people that have good arguments against it. And like I said, I totally understand and can respect people who have been in the industry a long time and say, well, I don't need it. But I also respect the people that have been in the industry a long time and say, you know what, I'm going to go for it and try for it. You know, it just makes me.
I don't think it's about those people don't quite accept that it's not really about them. It's about having it so it doesn't take 30 years to be to the level that you don't need it. It's about getting people up to speed faster, so that when they start, as they go out and as they're on their own and doing these jobs, they're doing it right to begin with, so that these people that have been doing it for 30 years are selling apples to apples instead of being undercut all the time because somebody's shorting the job. You know, to say that you've been in it that long, yeah, you've got your education. Hopefully you're doing it right after 30 years. You know, we've all seen people that have been doing it the same way for 30 years and not doing it right. But, you know, it's about the industry getting to that point so that the low bar is raised.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have a high bar in the industry. It's just that the low bar is really low.
It's
and
really low.
We need to raise the minimums up in the industry.
Yeah.
I was
Go ahead.
talking about the low bar. Let me cut you off there, Paul. We're doing some work here locally at the Ronald McDonald House. Okay, they want to put 12 by 24 in ceramic tile. So I went in to look at the floor, and it's OSB, and they were just going to go right over the OSB with 27 patches on the floor, and they couldn't understand why I said no. We're not going to do that. We can't do it. And I had to educate the contractor. You know, take the time to talk to them, and I still don't think they believe me. But, you know, we went in there, and actually me and my sons and a couple of friends, we put 1,000 feet of dirt rock down last week. It almost killed me, but we did it. So now it's ready for ceramic tile.
I don't envy you on that one at all.
No, my hands are still jacked up. What?
Sonny, are you healthy and everything? I mean, you're volunteering at AMI Kids. You're over at the Children's Hospital. I'm starting to worry you're trying to get points to get into heaven now.
I tell you what, I told somebody the other day I'm officially overextended myself, so I've got to cut some things back. I just don't know what it's going to be yet. So I've still got 600 feet of floating LVP to put down at the Ronald McDonald House this week. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, I said before, my son spent some time there when he was born at Children's Hospital, and we were at the Ronald McDonald House. And
they're amazing people. We stayed there so many days, and I think it was $10 a day they charged us. And when they came back and said, well, if that's too much, you know, don't worry about paying it. I was like, we'll pay it. Don't worry about it. Right?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Considering even the deals they have worked out with hotels are going to be $60 a night or $70 a night, you know.
Yeah. So
which is nice too. You know,
yeah. If
when
you
they have
have
an overflow
McDonald house anywhere near you, reach out to them and see if there's anything you can do to help them. Anybody listening. So, because they can use the help. They're a 501c3. They do everything. They're a nonprofit. They do everything themselves. Strictly donations. So help them out. Here's my plug.
So what are the you started talking a little bit about the levels. So do you have, I know you've got some more specialized training at CTF, so you start getting into large format showers and things like that, but do you have kind of a basic certification just for the flooring itself? Do you have something for the subfloor, or is that all incorporated in with the original certification?
Or ACT as well. So the module itself for the CTI, the basic certification, you're putting a vapor, you know, it's considered a wet area, but it's not considered, you know, like a shower or something like that. So you're going to put a vapor barrier, which basically is helping you so we can reuse the modules. You know how that is, being able to reuse the resources when doing certification type things.
Absolutely.
Backboard down, using, you know, doing a layout for a floor, a layout for a wall, you know, the slope, you know, making sure that it's going around the corners and onto the wall. And, you know, a good majority of the test is just following instructions. I mean, really, it's amazing how it seems really difficult to get people to really read the instructions, because a lot of the stuff missed is not
Somebody
reading.
wants to say hi.
I know. He's getting
That's
bold.
not your chair squeaking.
I laid some puppy pads in my office so he doesn't destroy the street. We'll see how he does.
He's been pretty good. You know, we said before we started, you thought you might have some barking in the background.
Yeah.
I've had my doorbell going off the whole time, so I got a plumber here doing some work. So.
He had to have shots today, and he didn't like going in the car carrier, so I'm sure he's going to get his revenge.
Wait, do we get to see the puppy? I think we need to see the puppy, don't you,
Yes.
Sonny?
Yes, I've seen it. He's adorable.
Oh, and now my kids are home. It should get real noisy here.
Say hi, Roscoe.
Roscoe.
Oh, he is adorable.
Roscoe Pico Basset Hound.
Oh, what a cutie.
Yeah, he's a doll. Stubborn, but he's a doll.
Yeah.
So the substrates are within that that initial certification. Then you
have a large format and substrate preparation one, so
okay,
as well. And we do trainings quarterly, or sub quarterly. There's a couple classes that are done. There's like 4 different ones that they do at CTF. You know, your basic thin bed knowledge, really understanding ceramic tile installation, and then there's waterproofing and substrate preparation course, along with an inspection course.
Who does all of your training? Is it done? Do you have instructors regionally, or do you have people? Are they indirect employee of CTEF, or are they contractors? Or?
For years, we had just contract evaluators, which were, you know, installers who were trained to evaluate these tests all over the U.S. There was about 17 of them. And to really grow certification and we're working on rolling over and changing how we do things so we can really get the numbers up to what we call industry evaluators, which are manufacturer technical reps that will come in and evaluate the tests, and then we can get more of them in smaller groups around the areas where we need to go, which is basically all over the US. But it, you know, if they're covering a region and they're going to be there, having communication and saying, hey, we got a CTI test scheduled, are you going to be in that area? They can look at going into their own territory and doing it.
But they're the evaluators. They don't give the actual certification classes.
No, the classes themselves, there isn't really a class. It's a self-study test, pretty much. You get a written portion.
And then a performance evaluation?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a pass-fail certification. We're looking at, you know, kind of advancing, moving with the times, kind of. There's a lot that we can do with the test. We know that. We're looking at it. But right now, we're really concentrating on getting the numbers of people certified, because you can't go to a state if you only have 34 people in that state who are certified and say, hey, you got to require this to do this.
Yeah,
So,
you know that one.
And that is the chicken and egg argument we always have too, that okay, so we want to get all these people certified so that manufacturers or states can have some level of legitimacy coming out and saying, find somebody certified, or you have to have somebody certified. But without that, the urgency for people to get certified isn't there.
no.
You know, so it's a constant battle to try to get people certified, but at the same time, they don't have that urgency for it.
Yeah. And, you know, interesting enough, in commercial and high-end residential, there is starting to become specifications in the definition of qualified labor, and some of them are being turned to even ACTs, the higher end who are specialized in these things for these projects, are requiring people with these certifications in order to do it. So
ACTs is what?
That's the advanced certification. So that would be like in waterproofing or large format tile, engaged porcelain panels. Or
do any manufacturers at this point require CTF certification?
Manufacturers, no. They support CTF. They are definitely there, but everybody has their own way of doing things. So it's very difficult to have certifications based on products per se. I mean, you can base it on a generic scope based on the industry of how it's defined in industry standards. And that's what CTF does. It's the industry standards instead of brand specific.
Okay. Sonny, any other questions? We're coming up. We got a little time here yet, but we're coming up on our time.
No, it's that's all good stuff. Like I said, we're really in a similar position as CTEF. We're just, about 20 steps behind you. But so I appreciate you filling us in on some of that stuff. But we recognize that there's some things in the industry that could be made better, and we think it starts with helping the installers. If we help the installers, the industry will get better. I don't think it starts with the manufacturers. I don't think it starts with the distributors. I think it starts with the installers. And Paul said it before. What's that thing you say? Raising water lifts all ships. Rising water lifts all ships.
Rising tide lifts all ship boats. Yeah.
See how much I listen to them. But we're trying to make this place better, and we think it starts with the installers, and that's where we're going to focus a lot of our attention in 2020. So it sounds like you guys are doing a lot of the same thing, and whatever we can do to help you guys, we'll be happy to do it. Yeah. I know you were down by me, a couple of months ago, and we didn't get a chance to meet up. But next time you come down to Clemson, just let me know. I'll be happy to take you to dinner. I'm sure Chris and Kim will come too.
I love going in the summer into what I like to call the swamp, because there's not humidity like that out here.
Oh yeah, you need scuba gear when you come down here in the summertime.
Are you guys going to surfaces, or are you going to be able to find you anywhere?
Yeah. We will be. You can find me in the NTCA booth. We will be in the booth. Both Scott and I will be there at Surfaces. We'll be at Coverings and at Total Solutions Plus. So,
okay. And a little shout out for the Flooring Installers of America. I know you're on that page too. We are going to meet Tuesday at the CFI booth at 4:00. We just don't know what we're going to be doing yet. So if you want to meet some of the people you've been talking to, we're going to try to put some faces to names and try to get as many people there as we can. So try to do a cocktail hour or something fun, but I think there's only like 25 people going. So it's,
I'd say come meet me. I'd love to meet people. I thrive on networking and getting to know people. So
I think it's great. Put a face to a name. Go by and see Heidi. You guys will not be disappointed.
Where can people reach you if they want to find out more, Heidi?
They can reach me at Heidi@tilecareer.com. That's my email. You can go to our website, www.ceramictilefoundation.org. You can find the list of all the tests we have scheduled. I'm constantly scheduling them, so it's a never-ending thing for me to do. So don't be
Idaho today
area, because you can register for the written. It's a 2-part test. You just piped down. Sorry.
I'll talk to you, Paul.
It's a 2-part test. It's a written portion, a self-study open book online portion, and then the hands-on. You can register for just the open book written, and then I will work and notify you when I get a hands-on scheduled in your area. So we encourage people to register. We're working, we'll work to get one in your state, close to you. I can't guarantee it's going to be in your town, but I can get one near you and give you plenty of notification that when's coming up, and ask if that's what you want to go to. I'm very interactive, so if you have any questions for me, you can find me on Facebook. Heidi Cronin, I'll befriend you. I don't, I'm not, this is my person. You're gonna see my dog, and you'll see my personal life if you want to. But I'm pretty well behaved, at least on Facebook.
I was gonna say, on Facebook.
I'm also on Instagram if people, want. But like I said, I will respond. You want to send me a private message and ask me a few questions, I'm happy to talk to you. You can send me an email. You can give me a call if you want, 503-803-1018. If you have questions, ask me.
Sonny,
I'm here.
Sonny, where are you going to be? I didn't mean to cut you off there, Heidi. Was that it?
Yep.
No. Sonny, where are you going to be at? What are you doing?
We're actually going to be out of services at the end of the month as well. We're not going to have a booth, but we'll be walking around. Same thing. You can get me at Sonny@divergentadhesives.com if you want to email me, or you can always call me on my cell phone, message me, area code 407-383-6446, anytime.
And of course, with the podcast, you can reach me at paul@floorupodcast.com. Floor U Podcast is available. You've already found it if you're watching this, but iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and especially on YouTube, where you can see our pretty faces. If you want to reach out to me, if you need an inspection done, I do a nationwide consulting and inspection. You can reach me at paul@floorclaimsolutions.com. You can also reach us regarding any classes, paul@nafct.com or sonny@nafct.com. I think that's everything. Heidi, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Heidi. I enjoyed it.
Thanks for your patience. We tried this when we were in Florida, but didn't have the Wi-Fi bandwidth. So thank you for your perseverance and rescheduling this with us.
Yes, my puppy actually semi-well behaved. I'm impressed.
He did good. All right.
Better behaved than I usually am.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much, everybody. We will be back next week. At least that's the plan. And any questions or comments? Oh, the YouTube stuff. Don't forget to subscribe.
We need to give the teaser. We do have a big topic next week we're going to be talking about. A good topic, talking about how to help installers. So keep your eye out for that. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it should be
Paul will be on
a conversation piece. A conversation piece?
Conversation.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. See you again next week on the Floor U Podcast.